Hello everyone, Roguey here, and welcome back to another video. This one's going to be a little bit of a different one, just because I kind of want to try making different kinds of content rather than just gameplay and things like that. And I really wanted to actually get into making some content based around the Shape in Dead by Daylight. As everyone knows, the Shape is my main killer. He's the killer that I enjoy playing the most, and I think he's just in general probably one of the most fun killers. So I want to start making some content kind of centered around him. So the first thing we're going to be doing is basically making a tier list of all of his add-ons. Probably one of the things that a lot of people look at the most when it comes to Michael Myers is his add-ons, because they do just vastly change how he plays and the typical kind of play style you'll see from him. Literally almost all of his add-ons affect how it goes. So without further ado, we're just going to kick straight off into it. We're going to go through the brown add-ons all the way up to the ultra rares, and this is purely my opinion. If you disagree, I'd love to know it. Love to know your differences in the comments and have a bit of a chat about it. So the first item we're going to look at is the tacky earrings. Now, I'm going to be honest, the tacky earrings, I think are just, yeah. Anything to do with the movement speed and the aura reading is going to be like quite low down, because I find that they're not that helpful in a game situation that much. Tacky earrings basically increases the stalk movement speed by about 10%, which to be honest isn't going to make a world of difference. So yeah, it just goes straight in the bottom. The next one then is boyfriend's memo. Now this one will be slightly higher. Now that one will be slightly higher based purely on the fact that it's pretty essential for one of the most popular Myers builds for people to run, which is the scratch mirror build, which we'll get onto later. But basically, the boyfriend's memo slightly increases lunge by an additional like 0.1 seconds or something like that, which might not sound like much, but you can definitely feel it inside the game. Definitely gives you a little bit more of a distance with your hits, which when you're playing at tier 1 and you're moving that slow, every bit of help counts. And then the last brown add-on we're going to look at is the blonde hair. Now the blonde hair basically slightly increases the duration of tier 3 by about 10 seconds. But it does also mean that you require about half of a stalk bar full worth of stalk. And I'll explain this one a bit better later on, but it's literally going in the bottom tier because of specific reasons that, like I said, I'll get into. So the first yellow add-on we can look at is the hairbrush, which brings me to what I was just saying. So that's going to go into C tier straight away, because essentially the difference between the hairbrush and the blonde hair, they both require the exact same amount of stalk. They both require the exact same amount of stalk, but you actually get 20 seconds off the hairbrush, whereas you only get 10 seconds with the blonde hair. So based purely on the numbers alone, blonde hair has to be below hairbrush, which, to be fair, 20 seconds, you're basically getting an extra third of your time. It's a pretty good deal overall. Glass fragment is going to be the next one then. Just in my head, I had this worked out before. Glass fragment, yeah, it's gonna go in the bottom. Literally, so you stalk, if you're in evil within 1, stalking a survivor for 1 second reveals someone's aura for 3 seconds. Now, based purely on where you will most likely be when stalking a player, you're not gonna get much use out of this add-on, because literally 1 second to stalk at close range, you're gonna take 6 seconds to actually get out of tier 2. As soon as you hit tier 2, this add-on has no value, so that's why it goes in the bottom. The Memorial Flower is going to be our first B tier add-on. Now, the Memorial Flower I really love as an add-on. Anything to do with stalk rate is just absolutely wonderful. I believe this gives you, I know the numbers can differ based on where you look, it's either 11% or 12.5% extra stalk, which in the grand scheme of the game is going to be absolutely great for getting to your tier 2 quicker, get to your tier 3s, and you'll kind of see exactly how much I rate the stalk rate later on. The next one we're going to look at then is the reflective fragment. Now, this one literally goes straight next to the other add-on, right in D tier. This one basically gives you aura reveal for 2 seconds in tier 2 after stalking survived for 1 second. Again, you're not going to get that much value out of it throughout the whole match, so I just don't see the point in using it. Now, Dead Rabbit, I absolutely love this add-on. It's one of 2 add-ons that I run all the time on Myers, like in my normal build. This is going straight up into A tier. Basically, with the Dead Rabbit, it moderately decreases your terror radius while in your tier 2. and it moderately increases your tear radius while in tier 3. Basically, it takes away 4 meters off your tear radius in tier 2, and it gives you plus 8 meters of tear radius in tier 3. So if you have like a tier 2 build, you could basically go down as far as I think it's either 4 meters or 6 meters, but depending on the numbers. And you can go up as far as like a 40 meter tear radius one in tier 3, which in the right build can actually be very fucking devastating. We're gonna have to beep that out, ain't I? Now the jewelry, I don't really rate these add-ons, so I'm gonna leave it there. In D tier, this one basically increases your movement speed, I believe, by 20%, which again, it's okay for like moving after someone while stalking, but for the most part, you're not gonna get a ton of value out of it. All right, and that brings us up to the green add-ons then. So the first one we're gonna look at is hair bow. Now, this goes into A tier. The big reason for this is you do get 30 seconds of stalk of extra tier 3. Basically, you get to add half of your tier 3 onto it. And it still has the exact same stalk requirements as the previous 2 add-ons. So its value just goes up so high when you look at it that way. Especially because you only have a limit to the amount of times you can stalk people. So this just lets you maintain so much pressure through having exposed on survivors so long throughout the game. The jewelry box, it's gonna go in C tier because, like, again, movement speed isn't the greatest. This does give you 30%, which can be really nice in certain situations, but overall I just don't see the massive value in stalking movement speed throughout the games that I've played with him. Now, Judith's Journal, this one is actually going to go into B tier. Judith's Journal only affects the stalk rate when looking at the obsession, but this basically gives you an additional 40% stalk when stalking your obsession, which when you combine it with perks like Nemesis and 30th Chase to keep switching around your obsession, means you can actually stalk them really quickly and keep a lot of pressure going with your tier 3s. Now, the Mirror Shard is going to go in C tier as well. The Mirror Shard is a bit of an interesting one because you do get 5 seconds of aura reveal for 1 second of stalking, which can be quite nice in certain loops because 5 seconds is actually a fair amount of time. But I still feel like it doesn't give you as much value compared to the other add-ons, and I feel like its value is kind of similar to the other ones in C tier. But I do not believe it's that valuable of a perk over the course of the game. Now, Jade Myers Memorial is going to be our first S tier add-on. Jade Myers Memorial gives you a flat 25% additional stalk across all survivors. Again, it's absolutely wonderful for getting out of your tier 1 quickly and getting your tier 3s as quickly as possible. You can literally have a survivor at a weak loop where you can see them, stalk them to 99, finish the chase, find a healthy survivor, down them instantly. It lets you pile up tier 3 so quickly, which when you're playing as Myers, gives you so much pressure on survivors if they're going for saves, if they're trying to get gen, and at certain loops, because of the extra vault speed and the extra lunge range, it's absolutely insane, and it's pretty much a must use for a lot of Myers players. Now, starting off with the purple add-ons, Scratch Mirror is a very interesting one because it does make you play him in a very specific manner, which there is no workaround for it. You have to play him a certain way. For that reason, I'm actually going to put it as a B tier add-on, even though it's personally one of my favorite add-ons to use, if not my absolute favorite. I love Scratch Mirror Myers so much. I think it's some of the most fun you can actually have in all of Dead by Daylight. But for what it actually does and what you use it for, I feel like B is probably the most justified position for it. Now, the Tombstone piece is actually going to go up in A tier. There's a little trick with a Tombstone piece where if you actually have someone in a chase and you have your stalk at tier, like the bar is like almost depleted and you're going back to tier 2. If your tier 3 expires while you are in the middle of the Mori animation, you'll actually retain a lot of the stalk you previously had. Whereas if you actually Mori them and you D tier because of the Mori, you actually go back to the very beginning of tier 2. But I feel like the Tombstone piece's power with being able to just instantly eliminate a player from the game is just absolutely insane. And because it actually doesn't decrease your movement speed at all, I do feel like it's got a lot of value going for it to pretty much give you extreme power over survivors. Now, the lock of hair, I'm actually going to put in B tier. Now, I know it's a bit weird considering the fact the hair bow is up there. The lock of hair basically gives you an additional 40 seconds, so you get an extra 10 seconds of stalk time compared to the hair bow. But you do require pretty much double the amount that the hair bow makes you gain. And when you look at it for like an extra 10 seconds for like however much stalk you need, it's just not worth it as much as the hair bow is, in my opinion. I do feel like it's still more value than you get from the other two add-ons, but I feel like it's not as much as the hair bow. Van Aimer is basically like Scratch Mirror's little brother, and for that reason, it's actually going down in C tier. So Van Aimer basically lets you reveal the aura of anyone within 16 meters of you or stalking while in tier 2. It does slightly decrease your movement speed. I think it's about 7% you lose. You cannot go up to tier 3. It does give you additional blood points. But the thing is, you go from 115% down to 108%. So you actually only move about 3% faster than Scratch Mirror. However, you do gain a good amount of lunge range because of it. But at the same time, they can also detect you coming because of your terror radius, which you can reduce down with a dead rabbit and a mono and abuse combination. But I do feel like for the whole jump scare kind of concept, Scratch Mirror just works a lot better than it. And the final two add-ons we're going to look at are the ultra rares. The Judith's Tombstone is going to go down into C tier. Judith's Tombstone, a bit like the Tombstone piece, allows you to instantly kill a survivor when you are within basically grab range of them. It does tremendously increase your evil requirement to reach tier 3 for the first time, which is quite similar to the other add-ons that are quite strong. However, the problem with Judith's Tombstone is even though you are able to mori multiple people with it, you can still tier down with it, which means you're pretty much required to combine it with the Fragrant Tuft of Hair to maintain the permanent tier 3. But you do lose 9% movement speed because of it. So your 150% speed is now down to 106%, which you also need to combine it with play with your food. So essentially you're already looking at an add-on you need and a perk you need to make it viable, and that's why for me it just loses a lot of value compared to the Tombstone piece. The final add-on we're going to look at then is the Fragrant Tuft of Hair, which honestly it goes up in S plus in S tier as well. It does have more evil within requirement than all of the other evil within 3 duration add-ons. However, the big difference here is the Tuft of Hair gives you permanent evil within 3. There's no tearing down. As soon as you hit tier 3, that's it, you're done. No more of it, you are finished. Essentially with the Fragrant Tuft of Hair, it doubles the requirement to actually hit tier 3. Essentially you need to go through a bit more stalking, but once you hit tier 3, you're never going to tear down, and that's the end of it. Which when it can be combined with a lot of things, like with dead rabbits have a large terror radius. You can use stalking add-ons to get there faster. You could combine it with the Judith's Tombstone to give you like a permanent mori. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but also the power of it just gives you permanent expose throughout the whole game, the extra lunge range, the extra vault speed. It just goes up there. It's just one of his strongest add-ons across the board. And that's actually going to be it for the video today. If you disagree with any of the placements or you feel like some need adjusting, feel free to let me know in the comments. Like I said, this is personally my own opinion from playing Myers for about somewhere close to 1,000 hours probably overall. And honestly, I just think that he probably deserves a lot more love than he's given. I know a lot of people love him, but I feel like we don't see enough Myers players, and hopefully we can actually see a lot more of those in the future. But that's going to be it for me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.